this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Phase 1 Clone Trooper for the Vintage Collection. And this is the very first Phase 1 Clone Trooper. We're getting the newly updated tooling, the same one that was used for this Andor Phase 2 clone here. Essentially the exact same action figure. There are some paint differences I will point out that I've noticed, and also obviously the helmet. And of course I brought out the older sculpt here from the earlier version of the TVC line, which was VC34, I think it was, somewhere around there. I have a mountain of these guys, and having this new one and the older one side by side, I think they look pretty good together. There's not a huge significant difference between the two. They do have different helmets and of course a different body, but they look pretty similar. It's almost hard to tell the difference between the two. But other than that, there's really not a whole lot I can say about this Clone Trooper. It might be a little bit shorter video than usual, but again, there's just really not much I can point out about it. So I did get this guy very recently, and I do have a second one on order that I should be receiving soon. I do like it a little bit more than this Phase 2 clone because I think the helmet looks a little bit more spot on. It's still a little bit on the wider side, I think. It's definitely much wider compared to this older sculpt here, but it's pretty good. I think it looks nice. And this is also released in the same wave as Finn from The Force Awakens. Kind of surprised they re-released that, but here we are. Perhaps Hasbro's trying to test the waters again for the sequel trilogy, so we'll see how that goes. I did not get Finn. I don't really plan to at this time. Maybe if he goes on sale, I'll get him. And also Count Dooku, which I'm having a really hard time getting Count Dooku. I've had two on pre-order for a little bit now, and they just keep getting delayed for some reason. So hopefully over the next month I finally get them in hand, and of course I'll be sure to review them on the channel. But without saying anything any further, let's just go and take a look at this package here. So we have that nice Attack of Clones logo. And instead of doing just Clone Trooper with Phase 1 in parentheses, or just Clone Trooper, they do Phase 1 Clone Trooper. And a very nice image from the end of Attack of Clones there. It's not an image I expected Hasbro to do, quite frankly. It has a very nice yellow. It's very striking. And it's VC309. A little description about them there. Basically describing the beginning of the Clone Wars, I guess. A nice image of the figure there. And that's pretty much it. I have to admit, I kind of liked having all the figures showcased in the back because it gives you some reference as to what wave it's in, but now it's just kind of like, it's just advertising the figure and that's it. Not the most exciting. I think they're going for like character debuts on the back of here, but obviously most of the action figures Hasbro has released recently, these are kind of a debut of it. But at least that's what I think the original intention was, but it doesn't seem like they're following up on that. Obviously this isn't the debut of the Clone Trooper, but maybe they're thinking debut of this particular tooling. We'll see how that plays out in the future here. So as you can see with this new tooling, it's nice to be able to get them in a crouching position, and it's very easy to do. So he is a much brighter white compared to the Phase 2 clone. As you can see, this one's much more of an off-white. Bottom of his feet are painted white, while this one's totally silver. That's about the main paint difference I can detect, other than the off-white and shinier white. Other than that, it's the same exact thing. I think this tooling looks much better for the Phase 1 clone compared to the Phase 2. If Hasbro improved the helmet, which it seems like they are improving it slightly for the Phase 2 clone pack, the 4-pack that's starting to make its rounds. But even then, with no head underneath, I still think it looks a little bit off. It doesn't really blend in well with the other clones. especially if you have the older tooling. Does have the communicator there. And of course, that removable helmet. Standard clone head we've been getting, but it looks pretty good. We'll see how these two helmets look side by side. Like I said, I think the newer one's a little bit wider compared to the older one. See the difference between the two, mainly at the top of the dome. Yeah, these guys don't have the painted lines so much on the side. They're kind of there, but it's not very defined. So that is one improvement on this newer helmet. And yeah, unfortunately for this guy, he's got a little bit of a lopsided face there. It's a curse with some of the photoreal. As far as how these helmets fit swapped with one another, this newer one's very loose on this guy. Definitely would not work. And this one is very tight, actually. Of course, we do have clones already with this head sculpt and this helmet with the Troop Builder set. So it would work if you want to take these older helmets and put it on the newer one. Not going to force it too much because I don't want to change to the shape of this. And for this guy's articulation, he is perfect. He does have the ball joint at the head. We'll note one thing about the helmet is he does have a little bit of that chin showing at the bottom. I'm not sure if that's just my sample or if that's a common thing. Maybe Hasbro did that just so he has a little bit of a neck on him, unlike these guys that basically have the bucket head. But it's not too bad for the Phase 1 clones, usually, for the older sculpt. That is one thing to note about this. And of course, the hinge shoulders, elbows, wrists, torso. It's got the new hips there, which are pretty good. And the swivel thigh and hinge knees and rocker ankles. Weapons and accessories, very standard. They are painted in a little bit more of a dark gray. And there's no silver paint detailing on the sides here like this guy. It's just all one solid color. But he does hold them well in both hands. I do wish Hasbro would improve on the longer rifle here and actually give them a longer grip. Sometimes it's very hard for them to hold that. And even if they just add an extra millimeter or two on it, it'd probably make a huge difference. But that's pretty much all I can tell you about this guy. Looks really good. Happy to have him. Due to him being $17, I don't think you can really army build him like you can in the past when you can buy clones for $5. And it seems like now Hasbro is going for an approach where they're cutting the production of a lot of their action figures. So unfortunately, I don't think a lot of people are going to be getting a hold of him. I was just looking at the Phase 2 Andor clone the other day, and already on Amazon he's like in the $30 or $40 range. So production for him must have been cut. And I don't think he's really showing up on Pulse anymore either. Or maybe Entertainment Earth for that matter. I haven't checked EE in a while, so. But still, if the other ones are exhausted, chances are Entertainment Earth is as well. So if you missed out on the Phase 2 clone, you'll probably have to pay a little bit more at this point. But if you haven't pre-ordered this Phase 1 clone yet, I would highly recommend you jump on him right now if you want him for your collection. Is he a huge improvement from the older sculpt? I don't think so. That's just my personal opinion. If you got a mountain of these guys and you're really not interested in adding any more clones to your collection, I don't think you're really missing out by not getting him. But if you do want to add one to your collection, I think you're fine with just one or two. I'm not one of those people that goes out and sells all my older sculpts and trades them in for newer ones. I see some people do that. Well, overall, it's a very nice clone. Happy to add them to the collection. I probably don't see myself getting more than the 2 that I'm expecting. I'm sure Hasbro will do plenty more repaints in the future. Perhaps we'll finally get the commander, captain, lieutenant, and the sergeant again in this new tooling. I think that'd be nice. Overall, nice action figure. Happy to have it. Anyways, that concludes this review. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for plenty more reviews in the future. There will always be more to come. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I always appreciate all your support. And check out some of the links in the description if you haven't done so already. As always, thanks for watching.